Hello, welcome to Tech Dive. Today we're going to be talking about how to pick a power supply and why I suggest this one. Alrighty, a lot of people when they first start building computers are looking to get some of the cheapest parts, and they want to get an expensive processor and an expensive GPU and a cheap everything else to make sure that they can do their max settings gaming. And why that may be good on the short run, in the long run that may not be a good idea, because there's several reasons why you wouldn't want to cheap out on a motherboard, but right now we're going to be talking about cheaping out on a power supply. So one thing about a power supply is it doesn't typically age a lot. You can usually go multiple builds on the same power supply. And so when you buy one, if you're thinking ahead, you can buy a power supply of an appropriate, decent wattage, and you can continue to upgrade and upgrade and upgrade your build and continue to use the same power supply. But when you get a super duper dirt cheap power supply, well, you run the risk of several things. One, if the power supply fails, you have to replace it. There is no working computer without a power supply. Two, cheap power supplies do tend to fail. And when I say cheap, I mean like the $15, $20 power supplies can really tend to fail a lot. I see it all the time, and when they fail, like I said, no computer, but also they can sometimes take other components out with them. You can lose a whole motherboard, a stick of RAM, something. If it sends a surge into the electronics, you lose the parts that you invested money in so you could have your good gaming, and then you have to replace both of them, and you'll probably replace the power supply with a cheap power supply again after hours of troubleshooting trying to figure out what's wrong with it. So one thing to keep in mind when you're buying it is to buy one of quality, which is why I suggest EVGA 450B, I guess, B standing for bronze. Really, just the EVGA brand has always been a solid power supply brand. I have seen them last a while. I've seen them refurb old computers very well. I've just seen them work. And power supplies, they can cause all sorts of random issues when you don't have a good one, but EVGA makes good ones. And I want to tell you a little bit about the rating system. So this isn't a video about power supply rating systems, but it is to say that the 80 plus means it's rated for 80% efficiency, which you might be like, that sounds really low. Well, yeah, these things aren't super efficient. It'll use more than 450 watts out of the wall to give you 450 watts of power. And bronze rating means that it's had some testing done to kind of certify it at a bronze level. Then there's a gold and a platinum level, and I think there's a silver rating too. But most of the time, if you're not going to get bronze, you'd kind of jump to gold or platinum rating. But all in all, when you're picking a power supply, at least pick a bronze rating. If it hasn't been rated at least bronze, then it's not worth investing in, because it's not worth putting it against all your pieces and components. Its bronze rating isn't about how reliable it is, but it does speak to how reliable it is. And so when you buy a power supply with a bronze rating, it's definitely got some reliability to it. So why do I suggest these? I've just seen them in action a lot, and here's the kicker. This one was only 30 bucks, and a 450 watt power supply will power a mild gaming computer, any kind of workstation computer. Really, you'd only need to upgrade when you're talking about some super beefy graphics cards or some super beefy CPUs. And so 500 watts, not too much more expensive. I know EVGA has great 10,000 watt ones, and they also make great gold and platinum ones, but this bronze rating power supply is only 30 bucks, and it's everything you want. It's a good brand, it's bronze, and it's got all the connectors you need. It is a bit of a cable management nightmare, but for $30 it's beautiful, and I don't suggest anything less. So if you're gonna buy a power supply, I would at least start with the EVGA 450 bronze and move up from there. Caveat to that's not to say there aren't other good brands. Corsair I've had really good luck with. I have a Corsair in my computer and it's doing great. I've seen plenty of other great power supply brands, but just EVGA has over and over again, I've seen their name in computers working well. Thank you for watching this Tech Dive video. We try and give you tips about building computers, making gaming computers, running computers, videography, and editing tutorials. So keep coming back to this channel if any of those things are something you're interested in. Like if this video helped you out, and see you next time.